everyone, I'm Sean Duhamel from Mass Retirees. Welcome to our weekly update. It's Friday, October 4th. I want to focus again this week on the windfall elimination provision, what we refer to as the Social Security WEP. Now, if you've been following the news since last Friday, you know that we have some major developments in terms of WEP reform and our efforts to change the federal law to put some more money back in your pockets if you're one of the 100,000 or so retired public employees from Massachusetts who have been victimized by the WEP. Last Friday, Congressman Richard Neal, who of course is the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, filed his much-awaited proposal, which is known as H.R. 4540. That's H.R. 4540. Now, why that's important is that we need your help. We need to engage our members, not only here in Massachusetts, but more importantly, across the whole country, to contact your local member of Congress, your U.S. representative, and ask two things. First of all, that they sign on to H.R. 4540 as a co-sponsor. So that's the first important step. Because remember, in order to pass this bill through the House of Representatives, we need, at the bare minimum, 218 votes. That's half of the 435, or just one more vote than half of the 435 congressmen who serve in the House of Representatives. So 218 is the magic number. Now, granted, we need well beyond that to get some momentum and get things going, but if we can't get to 218, then this isn't going to get done, and this is where we need your help. We need you to contact your congressman, ask that they co-sponsor H.R. 4540. That's number one. Number two is that in addition to co-sponsoring 4540, we need to ask that they make this issue a priority. Now, that's easier said than done. And in all fairness, every member of Congress is inundated day after day after day with countless requests for help, to make different legislation a priority. And let's be honest, they can't possibly focus on every single thing that comes comes across their desk. They just can't. So as they say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's absolutely true, particularly when it comes to politics and legislation and moving on things. So we need to get them to focus on this issue. We've been working on this now for 36 years. And if it goes into 2020, it will be 37 years that our association and groups like us around the country have been working to reform the WEP law and the government pension offset. So our time is well beyond due to get this done. Now, the important thing to remember is that we have a great ally on our sides. Congressman Richie Neal from right here in Massachusetts, again, he's the chairman of Ways and Means. He has been for a long time now our biggest advocate in Congress when it comes to really any issues affecting public retirees, but in particular, the windfall elimination provision in the government pension offset. Richie Neal agrees with us that these laws are wrong, unfair, and need to be changed. And he has made this his top personal priority above everything else to move this legislation through Congress. But he can't do it by himself. Despite the fact that he has this powerful chairmanship and he has a lot of clout, he's one person. He can't move it by himself. So that's where we need all of this other work to be done. Now, additionally, I have some other good news to report on this. Earlier this week, Congressman Neal's staff hosted what's known as a Stakeholder Committee, where they brought together all the groups around the country. And I called in. I was at a conference with Frank Valeri here in Massachusetts. It was important for me to be there because it's a pension conference of all of the public retirement systems in Massachusetts. But I called into the meeting. But we also had our Washington, D.C. advocate, Tom Lucier. He was in the room on our behalf, did a great job advocating for us. Tim Lee, my colleague from Texas, who's the executive director of the Texas Retired Teachers. Tim flew up from Austin, and it was a very productive meeting. And importantly, there were no red flags raised. No one had any objections or concerns with the aspects of H.R. 4540. And since that meeting on Monday, one of the largest Social Security advocacy groups in the country, known as Social Security Works, and Social Security Works is, again, they focus on Social Security and Medicare, and they are really the largest group of clout when it comes to public policy dealing with those issues. So everyone looks to Social Security Works to see what they think and what they believe. So to have them be one of the very first groups in the country to jump on board with this legislation and say, you know what, this is a good idea, we think this works, and we think it should pass, really goes a long way to getting this done. And we're hoping to hear back in short order from groups like the AARP and the various public employee unions to say, you know what, our previous concerns with previous proposals have been satisfied, and we're willing to move forward and push for the passage of H.R. 4540 during the current congressional session. So let me address one other thing that's come up, and I know, and I thank you for the comments and the questions and the input that hundreds of you have put on our Facebook page, and the emails that have come in and the phone calls that have come in. We greatly appreciate that. There's a lot of great questions, a lot of great ideas, but one of the complaints that's been raised is that the current proposal doesn't go far enough. Now, if you read the email that you're going to receive, or you go on our webpage or look at some of the material that's on our Facebook page, and I'm not going to get back into the details, we've already explained this before, but the key thing that this legislation will do for current retirees is going to put an additional $150 per month in the pockets of anybody who's been impacted by the WEP previous to January 1st of 2022. That's the key date. If you're eligible for Social Security before January 1st of 2022, then you have what's known as a relief payment coming to you. It doesn't matter if you're already collecting Social Security. What matters is if you're eligible for it. So it would be $150 a month added to your Social Security benefit. That amounts to $1,800 per year. So $1,800 a year for most of our members, for everybody, it's a lot of money. Now, granted, we would like to see it go even beyond that, and we're working to get you every single penny we possibly can. But the truth of the matter is, we don't have the support around the country, and we don't have the votes in Congress to repeal the WEP and the GPO. That's the truth. We don't have the support. So we need to start someplace, and we believe that this proposal filed by Congressman Neal is the best way that we can get immediate relief to our members. We believe that this bill is reasonable, and we think that it has a realistic chance of passing through the current Congress. Now, it doesn't do anybody any good whatsoever to stomp our feet and insist on holding out for the perfect deal, for the WEP and the GPO to be repealed entirely, because it's never going to happen. I will be a retiree watching some future version of myself give this same talk, and nothing will have happened, and you're not going to be any better off. So we need to start someplace. We believe that this proposal, again, is the place to start, and putting an extra $1,800 a year in our members' pockets seems like a pretty reasonable place for us, and then we can work to improve upon it from that point forward. So again, what we're asking all of you to do, especially if you live outside of Massachusetts, contact your local member of Congress. It starts in the House of Representatives. If we're successful there, then it will go over to the U.S. Senate, and your 2 U.S. senators in every state will then become vitally important to the future of this. But right now, the focus is on the House. If you're watching this via email, the link to find your congressman is embedded in the email. If you're on Facebook or not, if you're on YouTube, wherever you're watching this, if you just Google "Find My Congressman" or "Who's My Congressman," it's going to bring you to the congressional website. You then enter in your zip code, and that will tell you who your local member of Congress is. So then you have the option to either call them, email them, or send them an old-fashioned letter. I would either call or email. It's instantaneous. Keep it short and sweet. Speak from the heart. Just explain how important this is to you, and that please ask them to sign on to H.R. 4540. So with that, I'm going to sign off for the week. We anticipate next week being able to address some other issues that we're working on for you, but we'll keep you updated as news develops and new things happen involving our efforts on the windfall elimination provision. But again, thank you so much for your continued support.